This is NDDC Today.
Hello, nice to know that you could join us as we take a look at the activities of NDDC in the Niger Delta and what other relevant stakeholders in the region are saying or doing to assist the NDDC in the overall development of the region. Experts do say that every management challenge is a learning curve, and with the right leadership at every critical moment, the organization or institution comes out stronger and better. We believe this is one of the key driving forces of a fifth governing board of the NDDC. The board has often emphasized that for there to be any meaningful development, partnership is a necessary ingredient in the process. With partnership and a synergy to accelerate the desired development of the region, certainly all this can be achieved. First, in our news headlines, the Ministry of the Niger Delta Affairs, in conjunction with the Ondo State government, concludes summit in Akure. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, and Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu commend the NDDC. Methodist Prelate wants more funding for the NDDC. A big story this week: NDDC emergency road repairs projects in Delta states. I am Uri Ngozi Chukwuka. In a bid to work more closely with all relevant stakeholders in the Niger Delta, the management and board of the NDDC attended the second National Council of Niger Delta Conference held recently in Akure. Our correspondent covered the conference and filed in this report.
It all begins with the arrival of the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, and his entourage to the Akure Airport in Ondo, the Sunshine State. The venue of the conference, the Ondo State International Center for Culture and Events, Akure. The summit, being the second National Council on Niger Delta with a conference theme, Fast-Tracking the Development and Peace in the Niger Delta, was organized by the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs in conjunction with the Ondo State government. The conference had participants drawn from across the federal, the state, public and the private sectors, and other relevant stakeholders from across the Niger Delta and beyond. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, in his keynote address, described the Niger Delta as a unique region with enormous challenges. He stated that the region does not need sympathy, insisting that what the region requires is positive actions that will improve on the lives of the people, as the NDDC is already doing.
For us, the development of the Niger Delta region is not optional. Right from the President's inaugural speech, he has emphasized the administration's commitment to investing in the development of the Niger Delta. We've worked hard to match our words with action, extending a firm hand of fellowship to the Niger Delta, based on the conviction that there can be no development without peace and security.
Professor Yemi Osinbajo further announced some program of actions of the federal government to the Niger Delta with a note of advice on how best the people and the Niger Delta region could benefit maximally from the good intentions of the Buhari-led administration. The Ondo State Governor, His Excellency Rotimi Akeredolu, SAN, earlier in his welcome address, recalled the history of development intervention in the oil-producing areas in the Niger Delta and commends efforts made by the past administrations to transform the physical and economic landscape of the region. Governor Akeredolu, however, praised the board of the NDDC for reappraising its approach by focusing on a few key projects that would be completed expeditiously, noting that setting its priority right, the Commission would be able to effectively address the issues of abandoned projects.
When the chairman and managing director of NDDC came around, they were clear as to problems they met on ground, abandoned projects. And they said, why don't we resolve to have few projects and have them done than having many projects and abandoning many, if not all. And I want to thank them about their own approach. And that is the chairman, Victor Udomaegba, my other learned brother here, and Sima Ekere, who is here. I want to thank you for this approach.
The Minister of the Niger Delta Affairs, Pastor Usani Uguru Sani, in his address, shed light on what the conference was all about.
And whatever we have done at this time, as a ministry, is consistent with the federal government initiative of the economic recovery and growth plan. And so everything we are doing tends to drive toward achieving the objects of that plan, which we know is a tool for economic diversification.
At the close of the second summit of the National Council on the Niger Delta in Akure, it's believed and hoped that the theme of this year's conference, fast-tracking the development and peace in the Niger Delta, will bring about the desired turning point which the region has long waited to see.
Welcome back. Recently, the prelate of the Methodist Church in Nigeria, Dr. Samuel Uche, paid a prayerful visit to the NDDC. In the course of the visit, he solicited for prayers for the NDDC, saying, and I quote, "I am here to pray for the NDDC, that God's presence will be in the commission." The Managing Director, Chief Executive of NDDC himself, a knight of the church, reciprocated the gesture by calling for prayers for peace in the Niger Delta. Here is the report.
The Managing Director, CEO of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Mr. Sima Ekere, has called for peace and security in the Niger Delta. He made this appeal when the prelate of the Methodist Church of Nigeria, Dr. Samuel Uche, his wife Florence, the Methodist Archbishop of Port Harcourt, Reverend Sunday Agu, and other clergymen of the Methodist Church paid him a courtesy call at the Commission's headquarters recently in Port Harcourt. The Managing Director and CEO told his visitors that the Commission is set up by the federal government for the sole purpose of developing the Niger Delta.
Our appeals, even as you've come today, is that while we are busy working hard, providing infrastructure, building roads, building bridges, shore protection, and also even doing some socio-economic projects and programs to help meet some of the challenges of the Niger Delta region. While we bring up or we implement some of the programs aimed at equipping our youths, skills acquisition, teaching them how to fish. We're doing our own bit, but also, sir, help us as you go around doing your work, preaching to people, talking to people, evangelizing, and also appeal to our youths and to the communities to give peace a chance in the Niger Delta. Without peace, it's absolutely impossible for development to take place.
The prelate of the Methodist Church, in his remarks, called on the National Assembly to increase the funding of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, to enable it to impact meaningfully on the lives of the people in the Niger Delta region as an interventionist agency. The prelate describes the deprivation in the Niger Delta and called on the federal government to urgently address the problems of the region.
Well, we cannot say we have NDDC without money. They should have enough money to give bridges, to give roads, to actually, in fact, give infrastructure for schools, for hospitals, and other needs.
The prelate noted that his visit to the NDDC is a good opportunity to pray for the leadership of the commission. As he wished the management success, he urged the directors to follow due process in all their actions.
We hope that the prayers of the prelate for the increase in funding for the NDDC will be speedily answered. Well, with more funding, has anyone ever imagined the level which development will get to if every street and all the roads in the Niger Delta are opened up and tarred? Perhaps it's a long dream to achieve, but the journey of 1,000 miles, they say, starts with a step. The NDDC has since taken that step across the states in the Niger Delta. Our big story this week is on the emergency road repair of the Commission in Delta State.
Is the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) really touching lives across the Niger Delta region in different ways, especially in areas where it is most needed? The current governing board and its members seem determined to carry out the NDDC's statutory functions to the latter. Ease communication among the communities and let the entrepreneurial spirit of its people drive economic development. Efforts in this area have been given a recent boost. The NDDC is taking on emergency rehabilitation of failed roads across the region. Already, over 200 of these collapsed, but essential roads, as we speak, are being repaired. In Delta State, to be precise, 47 roads were approved and awarded based on the report of the Emergency Project Committee on Failed Roads. So far, many of these roads stated for repair in Delta State have been completed and some already in use. Very few are at appreciable levels of work.
The stakeholders themselves year-round are submitting requests to NDDC, and it can be situations saying, look, we are facing the very bleak prospect of being cut off from the rest of our people. There's no road. We can't, when the rains come especially, we can no longer go to our houses. We can no longer go to work and come back. If we go to work and the rain falls, when we come back, we have to take off our shoes and everything and put our loads on our heads and go home. Vehicles have to park, kilometers away. And so that is one clear, criterion for selecting emergency road projects. Pressing, urgent need. It cannot wait another rainy season, otherwise the people are literally, cut off.
In Warri South and Uwie local government area in Warri municipality respectively, the Commission's road repairs program are there in the several communities and villages and quarters. This is the Ugbowagwe Link Road in Warri South local government, a once abandoned road, now quite rehabilitated. It connects traffic from Ugbowagwe to Ogunu Shell area of Airport Road in Warri.
This road, this Ugbowagwe Link Road in Warri South local government, before now it was a write-off, I don't know if they have the pictures to show before now, but it was a community write-off. But I think I'd like to commend NDDC for this. And I believe more of this will be done to ease transportation, unlike what it was before. The other connecting road there, which if they would have passed there was in one way, that was what they were using before. But making this one, I think it's a good step, and I think more of this should be done to make traffic better and a safer road for us to use.
Custom Barrack Road is off Airport Road in Warri. Commuters here can tell you more about the difficulties this 1.8 kilometer stretch caused them. It links the popular Ijo quarters. It's now 100% complete. The federal government site and service scheme estate along NNPC Complex Road, Ugboreke, Warri, have tastefully built properties, but have no motorable roads. The NDDC has constructed a 2-kilometer network of concrete roads and side drains around the estate. The entire road is built on the swamp of Ugboreke. Still in Uwie, Joseko Drive and its environs in Ekpa have benefited from a 2.5-kilometer road repairs and a 500 meters side drains to check erosion and flooding in the community. The project has also been put to full use by residents. Flooding, they say, is now a thing of the past around Joseko Drive.
The first time the road is not good for when we want to go out, we are folding our trouser before we enter because of the gallop. When rain falls, the water will gather certain areas, so we are folding our trousers before. When we driving car, we take time because of the gallop in the road. So we take time before we drive go to our various area. But now, as God so kind, they come and do the road for us. Now we are free. You are moving free. Whatever place you want to go, we are free.
I want to thank NDDC for the good job they've done. Now you can see the road. Everywhere is now motorable. The drilling system is very, very okay, perfectly well done.
Ughelli, one of the urban cities in Delta State, ranks next to Warri Township and Asaba, the state capital. The town is perceived to have been neglected for a long time, going by the history of the place and its people.
Ughelli has existed for centuries, and it is interesting enough that Ughelli has been neglected for decades. Ughelli was made the seat of the government as far back as 1930-31. This has been the center of government administration since 1930. In fact, the first district officer, Captain E.A. Miller, was posted to Ughelli in 1932. So Ughelli has been sidelined, has been marginalized, has been neglected for decades. So in fact, we expect that by now, as a government seat for over 80, going to 90 years, by now Ughelli could have been transformed into a real city.
The network of not motorable roads around Ughelli and its environs has been of great concern to the NDDC. Therefore, the Commission has taken up repairs of some internal roads across Ughelli. This is the popular Uloho Avenue in Ughelli. Before now, the erosion flood in this avenue settles on the road alignment for lack of discharge of exit points, despite its proximity to this canal. The remedial work done here has taken care of all the challenges.
Prior to the construction of the road was absolutely very, very bad. Very close to the filling station was cut into two. There was no passage. Business became very dull because nobody passes through this area. It is only people who are using their foot that passes through. No bike, no vehicle. We thank God that the road has been put into shape.
The Uloho Avenue project has a 1.1 kilometer of drainage work done on both sides of the project. It is hoped that the drains will go a long way to prolong the life of this road.
As you can see now, there is also a drainage that controls the water. Because before now, the water even moved to an extent whereby it will look as if they want to enter into our stores. But now the water is being controlled into the drainage and everything is looking fine and beautiful.
This avenue is just one of the Remedial Road projects in Ughelli. Another 2-kilometer project in Ughelli is the Akwadiete Road, which linked Lower Afesere to Isoko Road, with spurs to other adjoining streets. This is already in use by beneficiaries. The Upper Afesere Drainage Project and Ogenewita Road are near completion. These network of roads have no doubt made Ughelli have a fair share of the Commission's road repairs program. Still in Ughelli North, the Ekremede internal network of roads up to Shell Road and environs in Enenuria community, and this 1.5 kilometer market road in Iblini has been completed and have been put to use. The impact can only be told by those around the projects.
The road, it gave us another impression that NDDC is really working, because the road is unmotorable. When you pass it, you will have some strength, especially the woman that brings things from the farms. It gives them a lot of headache. But now we are rejoicing because the road is well tied. The contractor has done a noble job. We give kudos to him.
The road is very important to us because it has given us a source of marketing in this community. So the important thing to us today is the motorable and also machine to pass it, and the business in the town is floating very well. So the road has helped a lot to make sure that it boosts the business in this community.
NDDC should be regarded as a newborn corporation, or the corporation commission. It's a newborn, a rebirth. If not, all we knew about NDC before now was a commission that awards contract, we see the contract, they run around after mobilization, they disappear, nothing is being done. But there's a change in NDDC now, a new NDDC. We can now see the effect of NDDC in Ughelli, but good is not good where better is expected. We're still expecting more development.
Ozoro is headquarters of Isoko North local government. The projects of the NDDC are visible in streets and major roads around the city. This connecting roundabout in Ozoro is called Ala Square. Two of the NDDC road projects connect here. The 2.5 kilometer Ozoro Ideze Iri Road started from here. The road at some point was a death trap to its users. The NDDC has come to his rescue. Etivie Road and Uroto Road were not left out of the Commission's road repairs program.
This coming of NDDC on the road, I think they have kudos for them. We allow their effort so far because good roads gives room for what you call it economic movement, and it gives us a way of moving from one area to another area.
Eroike, a tiny community built on oil wells, the first place where the Brent oil crude was first struck in Nigeria. Sad to say that this community has had no motorable road for years. Eroike's cry for roads is now over. The Weeping community now have a 2-kilometer road to connect the neighboring Kokori town. The Kokori people are also happy about this. They can now reach Oroike with ease.
We thank the federal government for having taken it as a duty to come and rehabilitate this road. The road per se, it links from here to Ughelli, and that is where you have a lot of the oil facilities. So it's a very major road. Translating from here to Ughelli, capacity to absorb to anywhere.
The emergency repair remedial work on 47 roads across Delta may sound little, but their impact to the state cannot be overemphasized. It is true that hundreds and hundreds of more roads in Delta are awaiting similar gestures, but one can safely say that the NDDC has shown a significant way. Decades ago, the kingdom of Nembe, among other communities, buried in the bellies of the Bayelsa mangroves, were cut off from economic and social civilization for lack of motorable roads. In 2006, the NDDC, in partnership with Shell, came with the promise of hope. A 27-kilometer high-tech highway with 5 bridges cutting through rivers, swamps and mangrove forests of the Ogbea Opune Makalakala up to the city of Nembe town. It's now in use. The joy of the Nembes and its environs now knows no bound. Nembe economy and the industriousness of its people have taken a sudden leap.
We are relaxed. We can travel at will. And then the joy of being integrated to the mainland can never be quantified.
The NDDC, really determined to make a difference.
Now you see that the NDDC has been up and doing, providing communities with much needed means of communication that facilitates development, roads. Should you have any comment or suggestions, please do not hesitate to contact us through the phone numbers and the address right now on your screen. Till same time next week, bye-bye for now.